Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is my birthday. I am already 33 years old. What I did today, first thing in the morning, I spoke with my sister while I was preparing to go to have my first ever tattoo, which is this one. It could be just really basic and simple, but it has a lot of meaning for me. I feel like my heart is full and I like red as well. I like the heart shape. I wanted to do it on my actual birthday because that's how I was planning to celebrate myself. I also bought a cupcake and there's like a happy birthday. But anyway, let me tell you a story. This is a very interesting story. Once upon a time, I didn't know that there was something wrong with me. Sometimes I am the jealous type, the clingy type, someone who will give everything to their partner, focus on that person, revolve around this person and forget my sense of self. I would create codependency, having no boundaries when it comes to relationships. Didn't realize that I was, but I am actually an anxious person and I just ended up getting rejected by these people that I really love and care about. They would always break up with me. There's a pattern. I just didn't know why this is all happening, why there's a pattern. Is there really something wrong with me, or I'm just being unlucky meeting these people? And then I searched online. I'm not joking. I said, why my relationships are not working out? Something like that. This book actually came out from Google search. Emotionally Absent Mother: How to Recognize and Heal the Invisible Effects of Childhood Emotional Neglect. This is actually a book that helped me forgive my past and not to blame my mom because she's got her own problems. She's also human. She's got a lot of priorities at that time. She was working as well. Oh, just to tell you a history about my childhood. So when I was like 6 years old, my dad went to Australia until when I was 15 years old. I knew that I had a dad, but I didn't really feel like I had one. I didn't really have a father figure, and when he came back to the Philippines, I wasn't really comfortable of having like a male person in our house because we were all female. It took us like 5 years before we tried to build our father and daughter relationship. That was the time that we were starting to get close with my dad. And then somebody killed him. He was taken away from us. I already told the story from my last vlog, by the way. And then my mom, she was very busy with a lot of things. She was working, taking care of her mom as well, our grandmother, and even her sister. We were like 3 kids. She was just very responsible with a lot of things. She just didn't have a lot of time for us. I basically grew up with a lot of different kasambahay. In English, it is called house help. Sometimes someone old or sometimes young. There was just no proper guidance. We had our shelter, food, basic necessities, we had that, but we didn't have nurturance from someone older than me at that time. Even after finishing college, I was still immature. I just didn't have a lot of grown-ups who guided or even talked to me in a way that I can be opening up myself to them. A lot of needs that was not fulfilled. It's still reflecting into our actions or our emotions when we are in a relationship. I actually have an anxious attachment style. So this book will also tell you what will be your attachment style depending on your environment when you were a child. I remember one book said that every one of us had like little traumas. Even with those people who had like the perfect family with mom and dad who are very supportive and always there giving attention to their kids, sometimes they also have little traumas. It could be maybe at school or with their friends. So it's always advisable to go to therapy. But I couldn't afford therapy, so I had to do self-therapy. I started with this book. So this one will talk about just the root cause of why you are acting that way when you are in a relationship. Why are you being avoidant? Why are you being anxious? Why are you being clingy? Initially, I bought an audiobook and I was listening to it. I was doing something and then suddenly I just cried. That was a time when it was talking about the needs of a child that was unmet. And this earliest memory I always remember just went into my head. I was asking my mom to carry me, but she was too busy doing the laundry and she was like telling me, okay, I'll do it later, just stay there. I was still waiting for her to give me attention and to carry me. I got angry and I cried so much. Eventually, she carried me and I was already in my tantrum phase and my dad saw it and he punished me. He tied my hands and he was like acting to to slap. I was crying so much and I said, I'm not gonna do it again. From being so strong to the poor one who is begging for forgiveness from my mom and from my dad. And we would always talk about that when we were like having dinner, and we would always laugh about it. I didn't really think much of it. I thought it was just a memory that sticks with me. And then I realized that that was something that I needed in the past. I needed my mom's attention, care, and the cuddle. I needed her time to do that with me, and I tried to ask for my need, and I just got punished for doing that. I was crying so much when I've heard that from the book. I think that was one of the wounds when I was young that opened up, and I eventually healed it now. And we talk about it with my mom, and I so appreciate my mom now more than ever. Like, I love her more than ever now. Before, I just couldn't give her all the love because I think I was a little bit resentful. If you're gonna start some sort of therapy or self-help, it's good to read something that will really dig deeper into the root cause, into the deeper side of yourself. The modern books right now, like Love Yourself, sometimes it's just like a little bit superficial, and even though logically you have read about this and you know that don't settle for less or things like that, it's still difficult to change if your old wounds from the past is not yet resolved or not even healed yet. Knowing that there is a problem is a very big step already for your self-healing, because how can you heal yourself when you don't even know the wounds that you have? That's why I would recommend this, especially those who didn't have a mother figure, or for those people who had busy parents, or those who have very strict parents. This is a good book to read. The mother here doesn't mean like your actual mother. It could be like, who was the adult that was with you when you were growing up? And if you feel like your relationships are always not working out, I think this is a good book to read as well. And then after that, knowing that there's something wrong with me, I had to search for books that helps with anxiety, and the best book that I found was The Power of Now. It is life-changing, that book. I also recommend that to everyone. It helped me with my anxiety. Like before, I would always worry about the future. Like, I'm getting older. I'm 33 years old already. Super single. My uterus ovaries are just getting old, and I always wanted to be a mom. I'm not gonna go around dating anyone that is just available for me. I'm not gonna settle for less. Like, it should be someone that I really want. So I think it's gonna take some time before I meet someone. But the book Power of Now, it actually helped me to not focus on the future, because basically in the book it's saying that the future is an illusion. It's like something that didn't happen yet. So if you're thinking about the future, whatever that is, it is nothing real. And the past is something that has happened already and you cannot change. And that's why we have to focus on the present, because the only real thing that we have is the present. What you can do, what you can change is only the present. Live in the moment. That's the important message of that book. But it talked a lot of other things about our thoughts as well. I've realized that our thoughts are not always true. Before, I used to think that my thoughts are like part of me. I thought the thoughts are like your friend, your family, but no, it's not. Your thoughts could just come in, come out, but you don't have to believe in your thoughts. It is not real if it's not based on facts. And I used to be assuming before. Like now, if I'm confused, I would always ask the person. What I'm practicing right now is just believing what people say when I ask them. Whatever their answer, I will take that as the truth, because that's the only fact that I have. And if I assume on other things that is not even based on facts, that's not good, right? And what are the other books that I've read? This book, it's about making your own parent. If you didn't feel like you had a parent before when you were a kid, you can actually make an inner parent in yourself. And that helped me to be more compassionate to myself, be less critical, be more kind to myself, embracing my inner child and just saying, that's okay, you can just do better next time. So I'm not like before that is very, oh, Fatima, you are so chaka. I remember when I first broke up with my boyfriend, I was talking to my colleague. I was telling him, you know what, I think I need therapy because I think there is something wrong with me, blah, blah, blah. And I told him, I don't have money, but I'm gonna try self-therapy. So I brought all these books about therapy, about mindfulness. And I think it worked because I feel more complete now. Like, even though I am celebrating my birthday alone, my constant friends, they're not free to see me on my actual birthday, but I don't feel bad bad. And I think that's because I am already not playing the victim anymore. I don't have the crab mentality anymore. All those self-therapy that I did, it helped me to love myself even more. I didn't even have love for myself before. And I didn't realize that until this year. And I think a lot of people doesn't realize that there's something wrong with them until they hit rock bottom, or there's just one thing that makes them dig deeper into themselves. And what I feel right now, my heart is just, it feels more full and I feel more human now. Like, I care a lot more about my friends. Sometimes I get emotional when they're being emotional. Unlike before that I don't really care so much. And I think that's the important effect of loving yourself. The more that you love yourself, the more you can love other people as well and have genuine relationships and genuine connection. One thing as well with self-love is prioritizing yourself. I am practicing that by saying no to things that I don't like to do. Before, I would always say yes even though I don't really want to do it because I don't want my friends to feel bad. But now, I would always ask myself, do you want to do that? Do you think you have time? And if it's better for you to not go, then I would say no. And it feels so great to do that because whenever they say no to you, you don't pity yourself anymore. Before, I would always feel hurt when somebody is saying no to me because I feel like, oh, I'm not a priority again. I feel rejected again. And now, when somebody is saying no to me, I feel glad that they're saying no because it means that they are prioritizing themselves, which is weird, right? And then lately, I had this realization. There was one time when I was just walking and I was thinking of doing something, but I just couldn't think of anyone to invite to. Two of my really close friends are both pregnant. One already has a kid. My other friends, they have their own things going on with their lives, and it just hit me like, oh my gosh, I am so alone. Like, I don't have anyone that has the same situation with me that I can always call, I can always do activities. I don't have that anymore. My friends are busy. I can't really bother them with my singlehood energy. I basically live alone. I have a roommate, but we're not that close. And I realized that I had to accept that I am alone. And I just said, do things on your own for yourself and be happy. I embraced my alonesomeness, if that's a word. And now I'm happy just being alone. And I always cherish the time that I go out with my friends. I'm now very grateful when they spend their time with me because I'm already complete in myself just being alone. I'm comfortable doing things alone. I went to a tattoo place on my own doing my first ever tattoo. And if there's someone who will do it with me, it's a bonus. Before, I would see a couple or I would see a family and I would be very envious. Like, oh, I want that life as well. I want to have kids with a family. But now, I just feel happy for those people who are having their own family. I'm happy for those who are in a relationship and they are enjoying their time together. Because I know eventually for me, I will find that someone who is good for me. I think that's it. I just want to share the life that I have right now. And again, my vlog is always information sharing. I remember last time in one of my vlogs, somebody commented like, oh, you are very negative. You have to do something about it or something like that. Apparently, she was right with that comment because at that time, I didn't have a very good coping mechanism. I didn't do any therapy yet. I didn't think there was something wrong with me, but I was so caught up with my thoughts. I was really depressed with my job before that I thought of, what if I just run into a running train and then just be gone in this world? What if I just do that and I wouldn't have this kind of problems? I wouldn't have this heavy heart. Although I wouldn't kill myself, you guys. I wouldn't do suicide or whatever. But before, because it was too heavy for me, I just didn't want to feel that kind of pressure. And it was just a thought that came into my mind like, what if? I do meditation, by the way, for my coping mechanism when I'm having a stressful day. When something is bothering me, I would take some time to just breathe and think, have a clear mind, do some meditation. It really helps. Although it's like a little bit subtle, you don't feel like it's doing anything, but actually, it does. It does. I bought different books about meditation as well. I also do journaling now. If something is bothering me at work or with someone, I would write it down on my journal. I think that helped me with oversharing. Before, I used to overshare. And I think maybe because I just didn't have anyone to talk to. When I'm doing my journal, I felt like there is someone listening to me. And that's why I don't have to overshare anymore. Like, I don't have to share it with other people. And a lot of these people doesn't really care about me anyway. So that's it, guys. If you learned something, please comment on the description down below. Please don't be shy. You are welcome. Sometimes, even though it's a bad comment, I just don't feel offended anymore. Oh my gosh. I take it as a positive thing that at least it gives me the chance to change myself for the better if ever they are correct. Or I can just brush it off like, no, I am not that kind of person or something like that. You know what I mean? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. And now, let's all sing the happy birthday song. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Fatima. Happy birthday to me. I wish is my command. I will see you on the next vlog. Bye. 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 I'm so funny.